First of all, I've said that the 129-page speech that Dr. Bawumia presented at that so-called lecture was full of blatant falsehood and laughable excuses. And you see, we need to situate this discussion in a certain context. We are discussing a speech presented by the head of the economic management team. It is what he has said that we are analyzing. And so if he engaged in an analysis of comparisons, we will have to analyze and fact-check those comparisons. And so Prof should get the context of this conversation right. The NDC has not held any lecture or press conference to compare records. It is Vice President Bawumia, head of the economic management team, who has done so. And that is not even to say that I will be engaging in that. We are going to examine and scrutinize what he calls the state of our economy, which was the theme of his speech. And the first thing I want to look at is what he says on page 3 of the speech. Last but one paragraph. He says that to bring this home, essentially, the economy is what we feel in our pockets. And that for me is very profound. He moves on to the 5th page of his speech and says that when they took office in 2017, I'm quoting him now, he says, we had only one mission: stop the decline and make things better. And if you check his concluding remarks, he makes the point categorically that they have made things better. And so because Dr. Bawumia himself concedes that the economy is what we feel in our pockets, that is where I want to start from. The state of the pocket of the Ghanaian today. Is it better, as claimed by Bawumia, than it was in 2016? Jiva, in 2016, a gallon of diesel and petrol, which has ripple effects on the general prices of goods and services, was sold at 16 Ghana cedis. Now, by 22nd February 2022, even before the Russian-Ukrainian conflict began on 24th February, the price of a gallon of diesel and petrol had gone up by more than 100%, from 16 Ghana cedis per gallon in 2016 to 32 Ghana cedis as of 22nd February 2022. Currently, a gallon of diesel and petrol is selling at about 45 Ghana cedis. That is, of course, 1 month, 2 weeks after that war, which led to an increase in the international market price. But even before that, the price had gone up by 100%. And that had a negative cascading effect on the prices of general goods and services. A bag of maize, the big one, which used to sell at 170 Ghana cedis. I want to deal with the basics, the bread and butter issues. 170 Ghana cedis, bag of maize, in 2016, today is being sold at 600 Ghana cedis. In some places, 620 Ghana cedis. Check the percentage increase, the quantum of increase. And by the way, maize is not imported from Ukraine or Russia, so they can't use that as an excuse. A bag of kokonte, which was being sold at 200 Ghana cedis in 2016, is today being sold at 650 Ghana cedis. Kokonte is not imported from Russia or Ukraine. And in fact, even iron rod, which is imported from Ukraine, a ton of the 16 mm iron rod, which was sold at 2,800 Ghana cedis in 2016, before the war began on 24 February 2022, was being sold at 5,500, a nominal increase of 2,700. A bag of rice, you know that better than we the men. Millicent rice, that was sold at a price of 12 Ghana cedis, the 5 kilo Millicent rice, 12 Ghana cedis. In 2016, today is being sold at 52 Ghana cedis. Check the quantum of increase. 1 kilo of Gino rice, which was being sold at 5 Ghana cedis, today is being sold at 18 Ghana cedis. That rice is imported from Thailand, not Russia or Ukraine. a bag of sachet of water, which was sold at 1 cedi 50 pesos in 2016, is today being sold at 8 Ghana cedis. Sachet water is produced locally in Ghana. You can't use the Russian-Ukrainian war or COVID-19 as an excuse. So look at these huge increments in the prices of the basic commodities we consume. Fuel, maize, rice, kokonte, even Garo Luka has moved from 5 cedis as of December 2016 to 12 Ghana cedis. Check. All of them, you are talking about 100, 200, 300, 400, 500% increases. Have we seen any commensurate increase in incomes, the incomes of Ghanaians, even the working class, that can even match half of these huge increases? So what has happened is that the purchasing power of the ordinary man on the street has been so deteriorated. And that is why people today are complaining that there is hardships. And then you have a vice president who is so insensitive to the plight of Ghanaians, who is so dishonest. He comes out and tells you that no, things are better than they used to be in 2016.
Not to interrupt you, Sammy, isn't it potentially possible that economic indicators may present as looking good, but the reality in the pocket is not? Maybe that is what is happening to this current administration.
You see, I will come there to the economic indicators, but Bawumia says the economy is what you feel in your pocket. I want to deal with the pocket of Ghanaians first. You understand? Now, you see, the economic matrix for measuring changes in prices of goods and services is inflation. And Dr. Okuboy says at the time we were leaving office, inflation rate was 15.4%. What is inflation rate today? 15.7%. Owing largely to food inflation. And food inflation is 17.4%. Is that better than what you met? In any case, what Dr. Bawumia did, which is what MPP communicators like Dr. Okuboy are doing, is an economic sacrilege. No economist worth his salt would do that. You cannot compare the inflation rate of 2016 to the inflation rate of today. And in fact,
why can't you do that?
Why you can do that is that the inflation rate of 2016, the base year for that is 2012. And that CPI, which was used for calculating that inflation, was rebased in 2018. And so because of that, the Ghana Statistical Service, which is the body that produces or publishes these matrices, have warned that nobody should compare those two inflationary rates. And this is that publication I hold in my hand from their website. The rebased CPI base year 2018 for August 2019 is not comparable to the OCPI series with base year 2012. So you are the head of the economic management team, the so-called economic wizkid of the NPP, doing what the Ghana Statistical Service is saying should not be done, because you compare like with like. And by the way, even if we are to compare 15.7 with food inflation at 17.4, it's not better than the inflation we had in 2016. But you can't even compare, because in 2016 terms, the inflation rate we have today of 15.7 will be more than 20%. And so how can you say that the economy is what we feel in our pockets? And in the face of these astronomical jumps, increases in prices, without any commensurate increases in disposable incomes of Ghanaians, which has led to excruciating hardships, you look at it in our face and you tell us that things are better. That is an insult.
But he did.
Second point.
He did concede, though, that yes, he knows that times are challenging.
He said times are hard,
yes,
but the situation now is better than it was. Yes. That is what I'm okay. Analyzing. So now, secondly, Jifa, he says that the employment situation in the country has improved, and that is why Professor Mauto should be cautious, okay, not to place his hard-earned reputation on the figures, the cooked figures churned out by Dr. Bawumia. Dog, what Dr. Bawumia did, you will never teach your students to do. Unemployment, he compared the average rate of unemployment from 2014 to 2019, which is 3 years, I lie. 2014 to 2019, and said the average was 6.2. And then compare that with their employment record of from 2017 to 2024 years. Who compares 3-year averages with 4-year averages. It's the same thing he did with all the other matrices. But Jifa, you know something? I want to show you why some of us maintain that Dr. Bawumia is the most deceitful politician this country has ever had. Dr. Bawumia, in describing the unemployment situation in Ghana today, conveniently concealed the latest unemployment rate, which is the unemployment rate for 2021, which is an unemployment rate of 13.44%. Ally? The unemployment rate for 2016, when we were leaving office, was 5.4%. I hold that in my hand here. 2016, doc, you can check 5.45. 2021, according to the Minister for Labor, 13.44% based on the last census we did. And that figure, the 2021 figure, was totally missing from his analysis. Now, how can an unemployment rate of 13.44% be better than an unemployment rate of 5.4%? Clearly, you know you are dealing with a licensed and pathetic liar who is not ready to speak the truth to the people of this country. Now we come to the economy. And they say that, oh, it is because of COVID that the economy is in such a mess. Okay, so let's look at the major problem confronting us today, what Prof wants us to discuss, which is the exchange rate. Dr. Bawumia has given 7 reasons why the exchange rate has been depreciating, particularly within the first quarter of 2022. You can find those 7 reasons from page 69 to 72.
We played some of it.
Yes. And what are those reasons? He says that his government projected a 40% increase in revenue, and investors didn't believe that. Can that be blamed on COVID? And can that be blamed on the opposition? He said that there was a chaotic approval surrounding the e-levy and the 2022 budget. How is that blamable on COVID? None of those 7 reasons Vice President Bawumia adduced as reasons for the factors accounting for the depreciation of the cedi has to do with COVID-19, because you know why?
He didn't mention only COVID-19.
He didn't even mention it at all.
No, so what he did point out is that there was a lack of confidence in our setup.
Who caused that lack
and
of...
part of it was the rancor in Parliament, the delays in passing the e-levy.
Was COVID-19 found in any of those reasons? No. So why is Dr. Koboy and Professor Moto seeking to blame the alarming depreciation of the cedi on COVID?
No, they just pointed that as one of the reasons, and it's
that
one
is
of the,
in fact,
if
you are going to check factors that have accounted for the hardships we are experiencing today, the depreciation of the cedi is number 1. Then before you even come to fuel prices, spiraling fuel prices. And I'm saying that with that, from the horse's own mouth, Dr. Bawumia says COVID has got nothing to do with the depreciation of the cedi. Because COVID rather helped the cedi to gain stability. In 2016, when we were leaving office, the cedi depreciated by 9.6%. They called us incompetent. 9.6% depreciation. In 2017, because of the 2 additional oil fields that we had brought on board, that they knew next to nothing about, we had more forests coming in. The cedi depreciated by 4.7%. You can write this. They are all contained in Bawumia's speech. Then in 2018, before COVID, the cedi depreciated by 8.4%, almost double the depreciation in 2017. Then by 2019, when their so-called good economic policies had kicked in, the cedi depreciated by 12.9%. Double-digit depreciation. To the extent that this government set up a committee, a 17-member committee. My good brother, Franklin Kujo, was a member, if you recall, to investigate reasons why the cedi was depreciating. COVID had not been recorded because our first 2 cases of COVID was recorded on the 12th of March 2020. Yet in 2019, the cedi had so depreciated by 12.9% that you are set up an economy to investigate that. And you want to blame the depreciation of the cedi on COVID-19? When COVID struck, because there was low demand for dollar, the trade systems of the world had been disrupted. The cedi depreciated in 2020 by 3.9%. It made gains against the dollar. COVID helped you stabilize the cedi, 3.9%. Then in 2021, it depreciated by 4.1%. Now, COVID subsides, economic activity is booming again, people are importing, because you have destroyed your economy and you have increased your debt to unsustainable levels. That is really the problem, the debt. Increase it from 120 billion to almost 400 billion. Meaning you borrowed than all governments put together from Kwame Nkrumah to President Mahama. And yet you don't have 1 secondary school to show for it. You don't have 1 hospital that you have built and completed to show for it. No productive investments that have created jobs.
Okay, so
and yet, and because you've had that unsustainable debt, and the highest budget deficit recorded under this Fourth Republic, a budget deficit of 15.7%, rebased budget deficit of 15.7%, because of your recklessness, sovereign rating agencies like Fitch and Moody's begin to downgrade you to B- and CAA1, meaning that your economy is now a junk economy. Okay. Worse than, that is the worst ever rating of Ghana under that index. We are well aware
of that. So your point is that,
but
just
I'm not speaking to Jifa. No, Jifa, I have a lot to say, please.
Oh no, just
spoke for a long time.
Jifa, you come back so that I can let Dr. Okoboy
at least let me conclude on the COVID part. On the COVID part.
Quickly,
so because of that, because of the downgrade and dampen investor confidence, investors begin to pull out. What is called capital inflow reversals. They are taking their monies away. And you can't also go and borrow dollars on the capital bond market because nobody is ready to borrow you money. Now the yield on our bonds, whereas it was around 7-8% under John Mahama, it's now 21%. Our economy is a collapsed economy, junk economy. Nobody wants to borrow you money. So you don't have dollars to show up the city. Your city is depreciating. What has COVID got to do with that? On COVID-19, number one. Even before COVID, I've shown you that the cedi was depreciating at 12.9%. Our deficit was 7.5%, not 4.5% as Bawumia said. Yet Professor Mauto
is that the average? I think that's the average he tried to give.
No. He says that in because you see, they were presenting cooked deficit figures to us. But when they went to the IMF for that $1 billion rapid credit facility, they presented the correct figures. And in those figures, the budget deficit for Ghana for 2019 was 7.2%. It was not the 4.5% they had reported to us. So this was a clear vindication. And Bawumia is still using the old cooked figures that we said they were wrong, and that the IMF has vindicated us that indeed they were wrong to do his analysis. I am saying that your debt to GDP even before COVID was 65%. But even with this COVID, how much has this government spent on COVID? Doc says, if anybody says that COVID has not affected the economy, it's not true. Well, the president in the State of the Nation address says that government has spent 17.7 billion on COVID. A lie? Yes. Then Bawumia, who Prof is relying on his figures, says it is not 17.7 billion. President Akufo-Addo lied in Suna. It is 8.1, page 29. Prof, you can take a look. So which is which? Yet, because of COVID, they have had $6 billion to manage that crisis. Which government has had $6 billion to manage any crisis? When in 2015, the BRIC nations, went into meltdown, and oil prices declined from our projected $99 to below $40. That even our FPSO in Nkrumah was damaged because the turret bearing was spoiled. And that year, growth for oil and gas was negative 15.6%. It affected this economy. Did we get anybody giving us $6 billion? The IMF has given you $2 billion, World Bank $600 million, and all that you've wasted. And according to the IMF country director to Ghana, Okoboy says, no economist will tell you that COVID has not affected the economy. This is Mr. Laporte. He's not Sammy Gyanfi. He's not the member of the NDC. He says that even before COVID, our economy was on the way, was already in the danger zone.
Okay, so can I pause you? Can I pause you?
Just two last points on COVID.
No, I can't allow two last points because I've given you more than enough time. We'll come back.
No, on COVID. Let
Dr. Okoboy at least respond to some of the issues you've raised.
On COVID, just on COVID.
You have 2 minutes for that, and I'm timing it, please, because we also have a break.
Thank you very much.
So please, I've allowed you.
Then we need to also make the point that Jifa, Ghana is not an island. Many countries experience COVID. With COVID, Côte d'Ivoire recorded a growth of 2%. We did 0.4%. Benin recorded a growth of 3.8%. We did 0.4%. Senegal 1.5%. We did 0.4%. Guinea recorded a growth of 7%. We did 0.4%. Deficits, because we were reckless, we recorded a deficit of 15.7%. Côte d'Ivoire recorded a deficit of 5.5%. Senegal 6.3%, Benin 4.7%, Burkina 5.6%, Guinea 2.8%, Ghana, because of Sikedie Basa 15.7%. Debt to GDP, whereas Côte d'Ivoire, Burkina, and our neighbors were doing debt to GDP below 60%, we were doing debt to GDP around 78-80%. So other countries have experienced COVID, yet have better economic matrices relative to their deficits, their debt position, the depreciation of their cedi. Look, the CFA is not depreciating like the Ghana cedi.
It's pegged to the euro. You can't compare currencies.
So we should compare to which one?
No, but
Bawumia compared us to US.
Okay, but I'm just saying that francophones are in a different basket.
Okay, so Nigeria.
And I don't want
Nigeria. Have they lost access to the capital bond market?
They have a very strong foreign exchange control market.
Let me tell you something.
They
in 2016,
on how the dollar moves in and out of the
economy. In 2016, that we recorded a growth of 3.6% that they are mocking because of that global economic crisis. That if they had suffered half of that, this economy would have crashed, right? Nigeria, South Africa, Angola, the big oil-rich countries in Africa, recorded recessions, and we got a growth of 3.6%. We didn't get $6 billion from IMF, World Bank. We didn't have 3 oil fields. You have 3 oil fields. You've been giving $6 billion to manage a crisis. Other countries with less resources have done far better. And you want to make COVID an excuse for your own failings.
Issue of the IPPs.
No, I'll come there. But first of all, I want to make the point that some of the submissions of Professor Mawuto are very unfair to the NDC. Oh, really? First of all, he's claimed that the NDC and NPP are always engaging in analysis of comparisons and all that. I don't know where he's getting that from. No NDC leader has held a lecture to compare any records based on statistical averages. The vice president holds a lecture and says that the economy today is far better than it was in 2016, and even seeks to blame our current economic woes on the XY regime. And if we come out to rebut that with facts, you say that we are guilty of the same thing. So what should we do? If Dr. Bawumia is lying about the unemployment rate, we should accept it. If we debunk that, we are engaging in comparisons. If you say that Ghanaians are not interested in comparisons, then you should be bold to call out Dr. Bawumia for engaging in comparisons. Not those of us who are pointing out to Dr. Bawumia and the good people of this country that what this man is telling you is not borne out by the facts. Then he says that we don't do research. Yes, research is important, but you see, it is far-fetched from the economic malaise we have on our hands today and what we are discussing today. We are not in this problem we are today because of lack of research. It is because of indiscipline. It is because of recklessness. It is because of excessive borrowing, and he knows that. And that is why he said that government must try and cut down on expenditure and all that. All the solutions he gave. If Professor Mawuto has been in this country from 2017 till now, is he saying that he has not heard our ranking member for finance, Honorable Atufosen, raise these issues, propose these alternatives? Didn't he listen to his address at UPSA, his own institution, where we told this government that you are headed into the ditch, cut down on expenditure, cut down on the reckless borrowing? We started ringing this alarm bell in 2017. President Mahama has been talking about it. Adongo has been talking about it. Atufosen has been talking about it. Setekpe has been talking about it. I have been talking, all our communicators, we've been talking about that. And after they didn't listen to us, spent recklessly, borrowed recklessly, and have now plunged this country into a bottomless pit, you come and tell the opposition that you have not given them alternatives. What alternatives do you expect us to give again? Is managing an economy rocket science? Even a first-year economic student knows that the only way out of the economic quagmire we find ourselves in is financial discipline. Reduce the borrowing and reduce the expenditure. You haven't heard the opposition say that? Please, we have not, no NDC politician has peddled the kind of, even a quarter of the kind of falsehood Bawumia has peddled in this country. We are all not the same. So you academics
has questioned you on
I'll come there. Let me deal with one at a time. I'm saying that they should stop lumping us together. We didn't record deficit of 15.7% and a debt to GDP, rebased debt to GDP of 85% now heading to 90%. We didn't waste $100 million on the procurement of hand sanitizers and face mask and Veronica Bacchus. We didn't waste 55 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 550 billion old Ghana cedis on kenke and rice and fish for a few people in Kaswa, Kumasi, and Accra during the 3 weeks of lockdown. We are not as wasteful as they are. Check the Auditor General's report. Check the total financial irregularities for 2017, 718 million. That is for public corporations and bodies like that. 780 million for 2016. They promised to protect the public purse. In 2020, what was the figure? 12.2 billion. In the last 4 years, we've lost over 34 billion to financial sector irregularities and all that. Are we the same? Why do you neutrals and academics keep lumping all of us together and making arguments that are not based on facts? So please, those submissions of yours, I disagree with and I submit are very unfair to the NDC. Now to what Dr. Kuboy said. And you see, he was very condescending and, what he said was very offensive, but I'm not going to respond to that because he said, if we cannot read or if we are not complicated in the mind, Dr. Bawumia gave us bar charts. That was very insulting. But he's my brother, and so I will not respond in equal measure. But just to tell him that if he had read well, he would have seen that Dr. Bawumia, what he did was cherry picking. What he did was statistical gymnastics that doesn't reflect the real unemployment rate of today. This is what Dr. Bawumia said, page 61, paragraph 2. As shown in figure 16, the robust growth in GDP has led to a decline in total unemployment. Jifa, listen to me carefully. Based on World Bank data, the average unemployment rate in Ghana between 2014 and 2016, how many years? 3 years. 2014, 1, 2015, 2, 2016, which stood at 6.29, declined to an average of 4.3% between 2017 and 2020. 2017 to 2020 is how many years? 2017, 2018, 2019, 24 years. And Doc says this is correct. Do you compare? Yes, we use averages for economic analysis. This is 14 to 16. Read well. You are accusing people of not reading. No. Read well.
I know that some
read well.
Were the same.
Don't provoke me.
Mr. Gyanfi, you've gone into
No, please, I've not gone there. Jifa, let me deal with the issue. The point is that 2014 to you don't compare 3-year statistical averages to 4 years. And I'm saying that you are talking about unemployment rate now having reduced. Where is the 2021 figure? Because we are in 2022. Why are you? World Bank has figures for 2021. If Dr. Bawumia is an honest politician and was not engaged in cherry picking, where is the unemployment rate for 2021, which is the latest? And Dr. Mauto says he has not seen it. Well, I will show it to you.
Please, I didn't say that.
I've not shown it to you.
The document you showed me.
Yes.
Did not
okay, so I will show you another document. What is this document? What is this document? This is the Ghana Web publication reporting what the employment minister told Parliament on 10th, including graphic online.
You are quoting sources. You go
Master graphic online.
World Bank,
stop displaying your ignorance. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
Isn't he referring to a
listen to the story. National unemployment rate stands at 13.44%. Employment minister. This is dated 10th March 2022. Ignatius Bafwa, Minister of Employment and Labor Relations, says Ghana Living Standard Survey round 7 estimated national unemployment rate to be 8.4% in 2019. Remember that in 2016 unemployment rate was 5.45%. This is it. 2016 Mahama 5.45. Okay, 2019 before COVID 8.4. Then listen to him again. He said in 2021, population census put the labor force, which was the economically active population of 15 years and older, at 11.5 million, a little over that. Adding that out of the figure, 9.9 million were unemployed. This puts the unemployment rate at 13.44%. Where is that figure? Okay. So if your vice president has lied, the total unemployment has reduced today, and he's comparing 4-year averages with 3-year averages, and he has conveniently left out the latest unemployment rate. Is he not a pathetic liar?
So no, Sammy, let's not continue using those phrases.
Again, Jifa,
if you can say
I have shown you
he's inaccurate, let's not use
those are semantics.
Okay. So anyway, but you've dwelt a lot on unemployment.
Jifa, I have rebuttals to make. You allowed him to flow. Allow me to flow.
No. So,
I beg you.
See,
I beg you.
No, my point is,
I will deal with the excess capacity charge. Yes, I will deal with that because Dr. Mauto, you allowed him to flow. You allowed Okuboy to flow. I have things to rebut. Allow me to flow.
I get you, but you've already talked about unemployment already.
I am done with unemployment.
I don't want you to
I'm done with unemployment. Then did I hear Dr. Okuboy says we should not engage in comparisons between Ghana and Francophone countries? Oh, really? Mm-hmm. So is he suggesting that Dr. Bawumia was daft when throughout this speech he compared Ghana to Cote d'Ivoire? Or he hasn't read this speech? You see, these people, they think they are more intelligent than all of us, but they keep making a mockery of themselves. From this speech, page 1 to page 129, Bawumia compared Ghana to even the USA more than 10 times. And am I lying? And Cote d'Ivoire, is Cote d'Ivoire not a Francophone country? Even when you were in opposition, candidate Akufo-Addo then always compared Ghana to Cote d'Ivoire. Today you are saying we shouldn't compare Ghana to Franco. Okay, Nigeria is not a francophone country. In 2020, their budget deficit was 5.8%. Yours was 15.7, times 3 of that. Are you not reckless? Did COVID affect Ghana more than it affected Nigeria? They lived within their means. They didn't spend recklessly for election purposes like you did. So is Nigeria to a francophone country? You see how disingenuous you are. Then they say that Bawumia is not cooking figures. I've shown you that the Ghana Statistical Services don't compare inflation rates. He did that. And even the current inflation rate is higher than what we bequeathed to him. Deficits. You've been lying. That deficit has been below 5% before 2020. You go to the IMF for a rapid credit facility of 1 billion. And because you know that if you lie to the IMF, you'll be fined, you tell them the truth. That deficit for 2019 was 7.2%. Meaning that even before COVID, you had exceeded the legal threshold of 5% per the Fiscal Responsibility Act. This is the document you gave the IMF. And you are sitting on TV3 lying that, oh, Muntaka and Haruna Iddrisu.
No. He explained, no, not even about the Honorable Muntaka and Haruna. He explained
that they did below the line. So when they went to IMF, why didn't they do below the line?
So
when we came, you've been in the media for a long time. When we took office in 2009, and GCB and TOR were on the verge of collapse, and we had to solve that problem, were we treating that debt, that TOR debt and GCB debt, as below the line? So why is it that when they went to the IMF, they didn't do that below the line analysis and they told them the truth? Then he sits on TV and lies again that the primary balance, he peddles falsehood. You like semantics. I will use the words you like. Because a lie is a lie. But listen, when you were saying we're not complicated in the mind, you didn't say no. Let me make my point. He sits on TV and says they've been recording primary balance, positive primary balance for 3 years. The same old cooked figures that has been discredited. This is the document they presented to the IMF. Primary balance for Ghana 2018 negative 1.35, 2019 negative 1.65, 2020 negative 9.29, 2021 negative 6.47. What does this mean? Once you are running a negative primary balance, it means you are borrowing to service your debts. And this is the true state of our economy. Now the issue of excess capacity, I'll come back to COVID-19. Dr. Bawumia says, oh, the reason why our economy is in such a mess.
One of the reasons
is not just because of COVID, but excess capacity. Because his government has spent 17 billion cedis on excess capacity charges alone from 2017 to 2020. I want to show you that this man is dishonest.
No.
This is...
So what I want to raise... I'm glad... No, so
can I respond? I'm making my submission. This is the parliamentary hazard.
Okay. So that was what I wanted us to refer to.
17 June 2021. Prof. Honorable Suhini, MP for Tamale North, asked the finance minister a question. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, he wanted to ask the finance minister for, information of which independent power producing companies have received payment from government of Ghana for excess capacity charges, and how much was paid to each company in the last 4 years.
Yes.
Then the finance minister responds, Mr. Speaker, the underlisted independent power producers has received payment for excess capacity charge for the period under review 2017-2020, totaling $937.50 million. AXA, the breakdown is as follows. AXA, $347 million. Car Power, $359. Sem Power, $231. The total is $937.5 million. In CD equivalent, even if you are going to use a CD rate of 6 Ghana cedis, you won't get more than 6 billion Ghana cedis. Where did Dr. Bawumia?
You said the date is 17th.
June 2021, the latest communication by the Minister of Finance, who you claim supplied Bawumia with the information and the figures he put out. 2021. Forget about the lies you peddled in 2020 that you were paying $500 million every year in excess capacity charges and you had paid 12 billion. When he appeared before the people's representatives where he knew that lying could have consequences, he told the truth that no, it is only $937 million. Then Bawumia comes 1 year after and tells Ghanaians that they have paid 17 billion. It's a lie. And even this $937 million. So when he asks a follow-up question, check the answer. That means, Minister, how many megawatts of power are you describing as excess? The finance minister couldn't answer. He said He will get back to parliament. Till date, he hasn't gone there.
Okay, but that's obviously in the domain of the energy minister.
But he promised to get back to parliament, and he has not gotten back to parliament because you know why. What they are even describing as SS power is not SS power. Valco is not running. B5 is asking for more power. They are operating at 40% capacity because they don't have power. They have even given Gridco and VAT a loan of $8 million for them to give them power. NAPO is calling for Ghana to generate more power. You claim to have an industrialization agenda, one district, one factory, and you are talking about SS power. Tell us the amount of megawatts of power that is SS as we speak today. What they are doing is that ECG has been making technical and commercial losses in the last 3 years. Also, there have been tariff shortfalls as a result of their reducing electricity bills in 2018, but not paying for that debt to ECG so that ECG can pay the IPPs. They are putting all that together and they are calling that excess capacity. Okay. And that is why they can't give the breakdown.
Okay, so
again, they keep talking about the banking sector.
Let me just give, so Northern Electricity Distribution Company, for instance, as of last year, we are learning that they recorded a net loss of some 379 million.
Yes.
Then we also
and they put it all together and they say it's excess capacity.
Okay.
If ACG, but
what I want to raise is, I'm told that there's a difference between excess capacity and idle capacity. What I'm learning from the IPPs is that they are being paid for idle capacity, because if you contract an IPP to construct a 200 megawatt plant and you take only 100 megawatt of their power, obviously they are not going to pay for the excess 100. So I understand that is a lot of what we are paying for. What we are paying for.
You see, do you know how they come by this whole excess capacity thing? They compare the power being produced by the IPPs, their capacity. Okay. So they use installed capacity vis-a-vis why we are buying from them. But you don't use installed capacity. You use available capacity. Because Akosobo may have a capacity, installed capacity of about 1,000 megawatts, but they operate or produce 600 to 800 megawatts. So this whole thing about excess capacity is a barefaced lie, and we must call a spade and not a dig into. Now they complain about, oh, we've spent another 25 billion on the banking sector, and that is why the economy is in the mess. That is why the price of cassava has gone up. You see, Dr. Kobo says sachet water has gone up because the sachet rubber is made from hydrocarbons. So the hydrocarbons, they've gone up where?
No, the price of crude
so
has
what
gone
about
up.
maize?
So when you
Also, what about
it,
maize? 170.
Yeah, but you need fertilizer. You need fertilizer to grow maize.
What about cassava? You don't need fertilizer to grow cassava. What about cassava?
But you cut it.
What about yam?
Stop
the excuse. You see, any government that keeps giving excuses for their own failings 6 years after being in office, including blaming the XY regime, is a useless regime. You've been in office for 6 years. You've had more revenue than any government. 3 oil fails. You've borrowed more than any government. Look at all the COVID-related inflows you've had. And you keep on blaming the XY regime and making excuses for your failings. What is that? Okay, now they are even saying that freight has been going up. Under NDC, freight didn't go up. Under NDC, freight stood stagnant for 8 years.
Certainly,
is that your argument?
It wasn't stagnant, but it didn't go up for 3-fold, 5-fold.
My sister, you take your victim as you have it. He's a law student, he understands that. Let me tell you something. They have not recorded a collapse in commodity prices like we recorded in 2015. Gold came down drastically on the international market. BRIC nations experienced a meltdown. Oil came down from a projected $9,900 to less than $40. We grew the economy by 3.6% nonetheless when South Africa, Nigeria, Angola all recorded recessions, and they still blame us and criticize us for recording a growth of only 3.6%. Okay. When we didn't even produce oil for the greater part of that year 2016. Then you are saying that, oh, we have also had challenges, but discount those challenges. Do you discount our challenges from the economic position we bequeath to you?
So please, help me clean up the banking sector.
Listen,
that'll be your final point.
No, it's not my final point.
Oh,
when it gets to me, you stampede me, interjections and all that. Allow me to flow. When Okoboy was saying you didn't ask anything, let me make my point. I beg you. I can finish in just 4 minutes.
Okay.
Banking sector. Jifa, you take office, inherit a financial and insurance sector that was growing in 2016 at 8.1%, and you claim that that sector was collapsing. Don't they understand statistics?
They didn't say
growth of 8. No, but Womia has said it in this speech. I know what I'm talking about. That the financial sector we bequeathed to them was on the verge of collapse. I'm saying that that sector grew by 8.1% in 2016. So that claim is a lie. Now, some of those banks were challenged because of bad corporate governance practices. Some of the directors had misconducted themselves. And we said, look, you don't have to throw the baby away with the bathwater. And that you can deal with those corrupt directors and shareholders without necessarily destroying these banks. You can save these banks and financial institutions with just about 5 to 10 billion and protect about 50,000 jobs. They said, no, we will collapse the banks by borrowing 25 billion to pay depositors. And we don't even care if 57,000 people will lose their jobs. So they borrow 25 billion, collapse the banks, 57,000 people have lost their jobs. They've said they've paid the customers, use it as campaign for all the credit and the plaudits they can get from that. And if that has had a negative effect on the economy, you say, oh, it is because of that. You had an option. You could have saved the banks. Indian's bank would not have gone down if you had paid the contractors who owned him, who he supported. The first bank would not have gone down. And by the way, let me tell you something, Prof. You may not know this. Do you know that among the banks they collapsed was a solvent bank, Heritage Bank? Solvent bank. They never defaulted in paying one of their customers. Heritage Bank was a solvent bank. You collapse solvent banks because of politics. Because you claim Seydou Agongo, the main shareholder, is an NDC man who got money from Cocoa Board.
I don't know.
That was the reason. Go and read the Bank of Ghana statement. They said that the money he used.
What I know is that there was a concern about meeting the requirements, and there was there was a view that they could not be sure about where the funds to support the bank
let me remind you.
Came from.
I know that very clearly.
Yes, because
let me tell you what it was. They said that the funds he used in establishing the bank, that minimum capital, came from proceeds of contracts he did for Cocoa Board. And that since he was being prosecuted in court in relation to those contracts, they are revoking his license. When any criminally accused person should be presumed innocent until proven guilty. And so now, if Seydou Agongo is acquitted by a cause, what would you have done to him? You have destroyed the solvent bank. You collapsed Construction Bank. Who launched Construction Bank? Construction Bank was launched in 2017 by Dr. Bawumia and Addison. How can you blame that on President Mahama? So what they are saying about the banking sector crisis is neither here nor there. Now they say that. Now they say that. Now they say that.
Dispute that potentially the view of analysis that if we had continued supporting the banks, because they were getting support from the Bank of Ghana anyway, and I know there have been critics who say that there are people at the Bank of Ghana whose heads should have also rolled for the lack of enforcement.
But that's the difference between John Mahama and President Akufo-Addo. Even though Capital Bank, even though the board of Capital Bank was chaired by a known MPP sympathizer, Reverend Utabel, a man I respect so far, so much. And the rest. We gave them money. So if they misuse the money, what you can say is that go after them. Are you getting me? But you can't say that President Mahama was wrong in bailing out banks all across the world.
No, I don't think anyone has said President Mahama.
That is what they are saying. Didn't you? Were you not listening to Okoboy?
No, sir. What he said, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, is that government made an effort to save the banks.
Yes.
But the banks...
not all the banks.
Okay. The banks...
Heritage Bank was solvent.
Okay.
Construction Bank came under them. Let's not put the issues together.
Hold on. He gave the example.
If Unibank had been paid their arrears, they would not have collapsed. Let's talk about...
that funds were provided, yet they continued in their same reckless behavior. They didn't change their
Now, on COVID. Didn't Dr. Bawumia say in this speech that despite COVID, this government has recorded an increase in revenue by 20% annually, 25%. Didn't he say that? Oko, didn't he say that? Yet he said that we did 3 weeks of lockdown. And we had closed the airports. We had closed. In spite of that, you got more tax revenue than you even got before COVID. 2019, tax revenue was 42 billion. 2022, now COVID war, 45.3 billion. 2021, with COVID still in the system, 55 billion. So what was the net effect of this COVID-19 you keep blabbing about, using as a whipping boy for your own mismanagement on even revenue? The real sector before COVID, 2016 under John Mahama, the man you call the incompetent one, manufacturing, a very important sector to emerging economies, grew by 7.9%. In 2019, before COVID, it had declined to 6.5%. Before COVID, the construction sector, which is a measure, the growth of the construction sector, which is a measure of how you are investing in capital expenditure, grew by 8.4% in 2016. In 2019, before COVID, negative 8.5%. Oh, the economy, listen, this is what the World Bank country director, who is not Sammy Gyanfi, has told you. Be truthful to Ghanaians. The economy is very bad. World Bank to government. And the relevant portion says, I quote the World Bank director, is it a really serious situation? Well, the numbers speak for themselves. The situation is very serious. Then he says, at the World Bank, we have not hidden the fact when we have held discussions with government officials and even the head of state that Ghana faces a very tough road ahead. Then he says that yes, COVID has not helped. But even before COVID-19, there were signs that the situation was getting bad. This is the World Bank country director. Then I have shown you that with regards to the depreciation of the cedi, Doc, you are the professor here. If I'm lying, you can interject and say I'm lying. COVID helped you to stabilize the cedi because COVID reduced the demand for dollars. And that is why before COVID, 2019 cedi had depreciated 12.9. But with COVID, cedi depreciated 3.8 because nobody was importing like we were importing before COVID. And 2021 cedi depreciated 4.1. Again, they talk about
your 4 minutes is up, please.
Jifa. They talk about taxation.
Please
stop interjecting.
So please, your
I didn't interject you once.
We'll take a break and I'll
They talk about moving us from taxation to production. And you listen to the claims they make. So.
Oh, are you moving on to a new point?
Okay, if
so you hold that one.
Okay, then hold on. Then let me conclude on the point about COVID-19 and the figures.
But if you are waiting for him,
he made a point. No, listen, he made a point. If you don't want me to go into another area, when you come, I'll go into the taxes and the other areas. But this is what he said. They say that because the minority has not sought to censor the finance minister, based on a breach of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, which said that they should be disciplined, live within their means, and not go beyond the budget deficit of 5%. Then it means that every figure they peddled before we cut them pants down in 2020 when they went to the IMF was correct. That logic is tantamount to the logic which says that Atayi has been robbing people in Ghana, but until his arrest, prosecution, and conviction, he was not a thief. Listen. There is no expiry date for crime. You guys had cooked figures and concealed figures that really reflected the real state of the economy for 3 years. It took the IMF to expose you. It doesn't mean that if we have not raised those matters before the floor, we cannot raise them tomorrow, because there is no time limitation to these issues. So, Jiva, because you don't want us to go into other areas, I will pause here and say that, look, we are in this mess because of the reckless expenditure they engaged in 2020 and 2021 and the excessive borrowing. The problem we have on our hands is not because of COVID or any war or any excess capacity charge. What Ghanaians are expecting from their leaders is candor, and leaders who are ready to accept responsibility and say, you know what, we are going to now cut expenditure in truth. The president will stop flying in hyper-expensive private jets at a high expense to the already impoverished Ghanaian taxpayer. Okay. We are going to reduce the borrowing and manage the economy well. Stop making COVID-19 and the war, which commenced only 1 month, 2 weeks ago, your whipping boy for your own economic failings.